Hello, my name is Adam Neuerburg, and I'm one of the pastors at Lakeshore Vineyard Church in Detroit Lakes. My wife, son, and I live on a little hobby farm just outside of Detroit Lakes. We love to grow our own food and produce and greatly enjoy living in the peacefulness of the country. Have you ever had something so gross that you just had to show it off to others just to see their facial expressions? I think almost any guy I know is more excited to show off weird bodily functions or oddities more about themselves just to get a good laugh and see the facial expressions from those around them. Perhaps not even a laugh, but instead maybe even a scream or a face of disgust. I'll be honest, I had the best thing to show people to get these same type of reactions. Since I was young, I'd guess around my early teens or even prior, I had tons of little warts growing out of my feet. They started out small and very few, but over time they became many and very large. They were hideous. And just to show you how hideous they were, I'd love to show you a picture of them a few years back. So as you can see, there I am lounging in a reclining chair, and you can see the many warts scattered throughout all my toes, and you can see some there too. They were all over, and they were on both my feet. My wife ended up taking this picture when we were trying to eradicate them with all sorts of natural remedies and acid and everything else under the sun. And they got dark and would come back and would never really fully go away. I went to the doctor a few times too to try having them frozen off, and that also didn't work. I remember a few years back, we were on a missions trip with our church, and I had my socks off while I was laying on the couch. A couple other people on our team took the task of counting my warts. I can't say that I ever was interested in knowing how many there were. And of course, prior to them counting, they were gagging and screaming and laughing and crying from laughter and the scariness of it all. But eventually we set on this mission to figure out how many warts I really had in these clusters on the bottoms and tops of my feet. I believe we got to the 80 mark, and then we lost track. I also remember going on a canoe trip a few years back and flashing my feet at those on the trip with us. I was set up to get the same reaction as I always did when I showed off my feet. You can imagine my wife's disgust each time I took pride in my feet. Actually, to be honest, she despised my feet, and rightfully so. They drove her bonkers, and she so badly wanted my feet to be free of these things. She tried so hard to help me get rid of them. Then fast forward to July of 2019, my wife and I were at a conference in the Denver area for our church. Several others on our church staff were with us as well. During the last worship song of the night, we were all on our knees in worship, glorifying our wonderful and beautiful Savior. Now, just picture, if you will, an ultra holy moment where I'm on my knees, wholly surrendered to Jesus, and in my mind, I'm picturing Jesus right next to me with his arms wrapped around my back and embracing me. My arms fully raised with the glorious light shining down from heaven, me fully connected with my Creator. What an amazing moment. But that was not this moment. As a matter of fact, pretty much the exact opposite thing was happening as I was on my knees. And many times during worship, I was focused on how uncomfortable I was. I'm a big guy. You may not see all of my body on this call, but I'm a pretty large guy, and I'm not comfortable on my knees because of that. Some people can be on their knees and almost lying on their stomach at the same time. Me, on the other hand, I can go on my knees, stay upright, and still be massively uncomfortable. Nonetheless, I'm there on my knees, trying to worship the best I can. But here I'm not only thinking of how uncomfortable I am, but I'm also thinking about the poor souls behind me that had to look at my feet. I had my flip-flops off because those don't feel very comfortable either when you're on your knees. The straps kind of dig up in between your toes, and it just causes a ton more discomfort. So on the bottom of my feet rest all these little wart friends, and I'm worried about these things causing an eyesore and distracting everyone behind me, making them completely disabled to worship as well. I'm also flat out comfortable on my knees. Isn't that the most beautiful picture of me worshiping my Creator that loves me so much? It doesn't get much better than that. Well, that song comes to an end, and I'm able to stand up again, thank goodness. And once I stood up, my feet felt oddly strange. They felt super warm, and it's hard to describe, but they felt like new feet, like they were fresh. I didn't feel all those weird lumps under my feet. I looked down at the tops of my toes, which also housed some warts as well, and to my surprise, I saw nothing. Now, I look over to my wife, Chelsea, and pull up my foot, and I ask her if she can see any warts on the bottom of my feet. because, I'm not super flexible. So looking at the bottom of my feet would be a huge feat. Anyway, I had to ask for help in visually confirming what my bottom of my feet looked like. Her mouth drops and she says, "They are gone." And my mouth drops. We begin to laugh, make weird faces at each other in disbelief, and begin to disrupt everyone around us. The rest of those with us on our team were also in shock, simply because many of them have seen my feet and knew how ugly they were. It gets to the point where we're not focused on the conference at all, so my wife and I had to just leave and walk around outside and talk about what on earth we just saw. We walked a long time. We were in complete and utter shock. We couldn't fully grasp what just happened. It literally felt like I had new feet. They were smooth, and there was nothing separating them from the bottom of my feet and the earth. Let me show you a picture of what they look like right away afterwards. So again, there's a recap of what they looked like prior, and this is right at the conference, right away after this happened. And sorry, it's a little blurry of a picture. I didn't have the best phone at the time, but as you can see, much better. There's absolutely zero bumps or flaws on the bottom of them or on the top of them. They felt amazing. After we came back and I had the opportunity to share in front of a crowd, which of course I don't enjoy doing. But I was like, I have to share this. Like, if I have been given this story, like, I need to share it. And so just the fact of me coming back, and like, we're in worship in Sunday morning when I was sharing the story and telling the church that, I was so like not even engaged with God, and the fact that I was uncomfortable and, there wasn't anything special about it. There wasn't anybody praying for me really that I was aware of. And he just came where I was at, and my distraction and discomfort and not even really, I don't even think I was singing half of the song or really singing a lot as much as I could have been. And yet he still wanted to come and show me his love. And that's what was just really humbling. So knowing that I wasn't pursuing that, and I could care less about my feet. Of course, this was something that really inspired my wife, probably more than me even. And it means the world to me that it happened, because it was uncomfortable, and you could always tell there's this gap between your feet and your shoes. But just like her seeing it, and also the fact that I shared. Like, I'm still thankful to this day that I showed so many people the ugliness of my feet. It was just a joke at the time, and me just having fun with the weird part of my body. But the fact that so many people saw it, and then we were able to see what it looked like afterwards, just providing to that testimony that this actually did happen, and like this is true. Because I think oftentimes we can hear stories like this. It's like, did that really happen? And I'm sure there's lots of times where things like that do happen where people don't share the truth, or things are manipulated, so I'm really grateful that I have the joy of showing so many people my ugly feet time and time again, because it just brought the realness to this, and also for people to see that testimony too. So so I know that this healing is on the extreme side of things, and let me assure you that this isn't something that happens to me often. And however, that's the little things throughout every single day of God just reminding me of his love through just speaking to me in the quietness, and just showing me his love, and even just nature, and the smaller things. So I can't it's God just loves to show us his love, and whether it's big or small, I think it's really important to see that throughout the day. So for the longest time after this happened, of course, I'd check my feet every day to ensure they were actually gone. I was definitely the biggest skeptic after this healing. I had to feel my feet often to really make sure they were healed. The story I shared today is one of the many times that I have felt the closest of Jesus in my life. Time and time again, no matter what type of pain I'm going through or challenges I face, my relationship with him has changed everything for me. This relationship has given me hope when I felt hopeless. It has given me peace in the chaos. It has refreshed my weary soul when I am worn out. It has given me the wisdom when I needed it the most, and it has literally changed my life forever. And just to make sure I'm not perfect, I make mistakes and I sin daily, and I can have really, really bad days. But without this relationship, I have no idea where I'd be and how on earth I'd get through each day in without the hope that I have now because of my relationship with Jesus. But in the midst of it all, and no matter how bad things are, I'm so thankful that I have him right by my side. If you're wanting God to do something fresh and exciting in your heart and in your life, reach out to one of the amazing churches in this community. Any one of them would love to encourage you and have an opportunity to get to know you. I hope the story blessed and encouraged you. Thanks for listening.